Hey guys, good morning, good evening, wherever you're in the world. Welcome. This is a special live edition where I'm going to make a massive amount of soup packs. And so I've got a custom order, and I don't often do big batches of soup, but I do have a custom order today. And so I'm going to make 3 types of different soup packs. And the idea is 1, economies of scale, and 2, I just bought all these ingredients together, and it's the perfect time for cooling and a bit of dispelling moisture soup. And so this is what we're going to do today. Hold on, let me turn this off. Okay, let me explain what's going on. All right, so we're going to make 3 different type of soup packs today. And so I'm not making soup, I'm making packs, right? And so for those who are interested in what a soup pack is, essentially it's a frozen pack that goes in a baggie like this, and it's not pre-cooked, but it's pre-prepped. And so pre-prepped means essentially that the bones are blanched, the veggies are cut, all the herbs are prepared, and essentially all you need to do is cut this soup pack out, drop it in a rice cooker in hot water, in a rice cooker, add water, and then cook. That's what these frozen soup packs are. So for those joining, I'm making 3 different types of soup packs today. So let me explain. There is some prep here. So let's think about, and anytime we talk about making soup, you really have to think about soup design, right? Like, what am I making it for? What is the outcome that I'm trying to achieve? And in Chinese soups, it's not because you feel like having, cream of chowder or cream of corn that you make a soup. It's actually very intentional based on a few things. The first is going to be the weather, right? And so that's the key question on mind. The other one is about your own personal health conditions and what you're trying to address. Sometimes it could be very specific, like for example, questions around, okay, I'm having a cough, or I have a runny nose, or I've been running, it's cold outside. And so let's talk about soup design first and what I'm doing today. And that'll give you a bit of idea about all the soups I'm making today and why they're designed that way. So the first thing is there's a request for a bunch of soups. Perfect. It's summer. It's actually super hot right now in Toronto and somewhat humid. And so those are probably the big key considerations for doing soup design. So it's going to be a cooling soup, 1. It's probably going to be a diuretic, 2. And likely it's going to help cool the body and remove toxins. And so just based on that premise, I think of the protein. The most typical protein in cooling soups are either fish or pork. And so chicken tends to be warmer. Beef is actually not commonly used in Cantonese soups. And so it's going to be pork. So FYI, I've got giant batches of pork that are blanching right now. And I'll explain how that happened. The second premise around what ingredients to use when it's cooling and in humid is going to be melons. So let me show you what I got at the supermarket. Right here, I have this whole selection of root vegetables, right? And so all cool, super cooling is the white radish. The green radish is even more cooling. Corn is really more for flavor, and the carrots are for flavor as well, and a little bit cooling. So that's going to be the selection that you're going to be thinking in your mind when you're doing soup design around really cooling summer soups. Winter melon's a great one, but they don't freeze well. And so one of the key things to making frozen soup packs, and I do have a post about how to make frozen soup packs. So I'm making these packs today. I'm making 12 of them. And so the idea is that you want to be able to use ingredients that can freeze and defrost well, right? So winter melons aren't that great when they do freeze, and then they defrost or thaw, they will break apart a lot easier. And so I'm using harder melons and roots. So lotus roots are a good one, arrow roots are good as well. All right, so that's the principle. Consider the protein. It's usually going to be pork for summer and cooling soups, and your selection of melons or roots as the pairing for the vegetable base. All right, let's talk about herbs. So when we're doing cooling soups, what you want to do is avoid some of the warmer ingredients. So I'm not using red dates today, but you can supplement. So you're like, all right, I want that little sweetness, honey dates. So these are what honey dates look like. So for those joining, I'm making 12 soup packs today, so I'm just explaining the ingredients that I'm using. Honey dates are actually your replacement for red dates in the summer. Red dates are warm, heaty, fiery, but honey dates are actually more neutral, sweet. And so you'll still get that sweet flavor in the soup. So that's why I'll use honey dates instead of red dates in the summer. The other ingredient that's really nice for summer, just consideration for flavors and sweetness, are dried snow pears. And so if I'm doing frozen soup packs, I'm not also going to be using fruit. It's the same thing, right? Because of the texture, like winter melon. If you freeze it and then you melt it or thaw it, it will break down and crumble a little bit. And so dried ingredients are actually really great if you're considering using them for frozen soup packs. So snow pears is what I'm going to add as well. And then for the flavor side, it's going to be mushrooms, and I talk about this all the time. Mushrooms are amazing flavor enhancers. They have a lot of umami flavors, different types of mushrooms, okay? So get creative. Shiitake are your most common ones. However, these ones are really great too, and oyster mushrooms. So if you want more flavor in your soup, especially frozen soup packs, because they pack and store really well, go with mushrooms. Any type of dried mushrooms actually have a lot of umami flavor, and they're great for vegetarians as well as an option. Finally, the last thing for cooling summer soups to think about. So I talked about the protein is going to be pork, tends to be pork, or fish, but fish are more quick boil and don't freeze well as well, except the heads. Melons and roots, those are going to be your choices in terms of the vegetable base. And then your herbs is what I'm talking about now. So in the summer, I tend to use a lot more beans because they are diuretics. So in humid weather, it will help you go pee more and dispel dampness and water from your body. So for example, any type of beans, okay? I've got black-eyed beans here, I've got mung beans here, and barley. So barley is also amazing for summer ingredients. So this is how you can think about preparing or designing soups. And this is kind of why I talk about this, because I really encourage people to think about their own flavor profiles, ingredients that you like. For example, my daughter loves barley, and so I'll just put more barley in. But it has to match in terms of the herbal benefits and the rest of the ingredients. And finally, the other two ingredients for summer soups that are really good and that you can just keep around the house are two things. One, lily bulbs. So these are dried lily bulbs. You can buy them fresh as well. And the other one are tulip bulbs. And so tulip bulbs are like thicker and round, fat. But both of these are actually very cooling and clear toxicity. So having these around, keeping them in soup packs, just dropping a few into your soups, actually a fantastic idea, especially in the summer. Summer and humid weather, this is what it's perfect for. All right, so let me explain what I'm going to do today. It's going to be a bit of a longer live session because I'm making 12 soup packs. I'm making probably 3 different types of soups. And it's funny, right? Because as of now, I'm still not even sure what I'm going to make completely, but I have all the ingredients out. So first things first is let's talk about the protein, what I'm preparing. And this is just in my head ahead of time. I have I bought 2 giant packs of pork bones, whatever's on sale. And like I said, pork is your best friend as the protein in the summer. So what I've done already here is I've rinsed in cool water just to get rid of the extra bones. And I've started blanching over here on my stovetop. And so the idea of making frozen soup packs is that it's pre-washed, pre-blanched, pre-cut, pre-cooked. And the idea is that you just take it out of the freezer, open it, put it in a rice cooker, add water, or put it in a pot, add water, and boil for about an hour and a half. And so that's why I make these frozen soup packs, is because I'm not blanching, I'm not prepping, I'm not buying ingredients. I already have pre-made soup packs in my freezer. Whenever I feel like having Chinese soup for the family, I'll just take one out. And the kids do it. So the kids take it out of the freezer, put it into the rice cooker, fill to the water line, and just press cook. And we've got Chinese soup for dinner. So this is the efficient way of having Chinese soup without going through the whole routine. All right, so I've got a ton of pork bones. What I'm going to explain is what I do with blanching. And so to blanch, there's a few ways you can prepare pork. I do suggest blanching. The blanching just helps the extra step to get rid of the blood, the fat, the debris. And so I'm starting with cold water. Again, there's the theory about do you blanch in hot water, do you blanch in cold water? I'm going to be blanching in cold water, and I'll explain why. The reason is because when you put the bones, whether it's chicken or pork, in water, in cold water, I'll start this batch now. The idea is that anything that's water soluble, meaning it dissolves in water, will start dissolving into the cold water. If you put it in hot water or boiling water right away, what happens is it flash cooks. And when it flash cooks, it kind of locks in all the marrow, again, the marrow, the bones, everything inside that can't dissolve out in the cold water. Personal choice, completely up to you on what you want to do. I have blanched in hot boiling water before, but today I'm just doing it easier and I'm doing this in cold water first. All right, so the first thing is set the water on the stove, drop in your bones. I know there's a lot here. You'll have to just bear with me as I drop this in. All right, there. And then the other thing I do here is I will salt the water. And let me explain this. So for those who ask me about my salt shaker, I have this one. It's quite fun. It's just a star. I have the salt and pepper one. And the idea is just salt. But I mean, this is too little, okay? So I'm just going to use a bigger salt shaker with more salt. All right, here we go. So, I mean, fun amount. And then start setting that to boil on high. And your pork doesn't need to be fully cooked if you're doing frozen soup packs. Part of the reason is because ultimately when you do put it in the rice cooker in your soup pot, it's going to be cooking anyway. But I do make sure that it is as cooked as it can be. All right, come here. I'm going to bring you over and show you what happened with the first batch of my bones. So when you blanch pork, this is what happens, right? You get all the foam, all the dirt that comes out on top. And essentially, hold on, my music's a bit loud today. Let's turn that off. All right, so when you do blanch, what happens is all the debris comes out like that, and that's what you want it looking like. So I've got this pot going right now. It's in cold water, like I said. And what that's gonna do is just allow the water-soluble parts of the bones to dissolve out first before it boils and then hardens. If you drop it in boiling water, it just flash boils essentially, which is okay too, right? And that's completely up to you and what's best for you. So what's gonna happen now is this is finished. So I kind of prepared this ahead of time because I'm doing, for those just joining, 12 soup packs today. It is a custom order from a friend who wanted 9 packs and then I'm making a bit of extra to give away. And so economies of scale, that's essentially what I'm doing right now. So I'm just making everything in batch and then I'm going to seal. And for those joining and curious about what a frozen soup pack is, essentially, I put all the ingredients in this sealable packs like this. And then I've got over there, I will show you when I do it, or you could just play back later to watch. I've got a vacuum seal. And so this is amazing for making frozen soup packs, and I will show you how it's done. And so essentially what it does is vacuums all the air out and then seals it tight. And then what I could do is keep it in the freezer. I use this for 2 types of soups. One is frozen soup packs with the raw ingredients, but I also have done it with soup. So if I've leftover soup, I can't finish it, I'll actually pour them into these packs, seal, I won't vacuum it because this is not a wet sealer, and then have that whole pack in the freezer. And then I just drop that into boiling water to reheat for later. And so you can buy these on Temu or Amazon, super cheap, same with these, and make your own soup packs or preserve them to put in the freezer. Great for university. My daughter's been taking soup packs into her res and making them herself, and I'm preparing it for her. So this is what I'm doing today. I'm just making 12 soup packs. I'm not making soup, okay? It's for a custom order for a friend who wants something that's cooling for the summer, can help dispel heat and relieve the hot air. And so, all right, what I'm going to do next is I'm going to drain that and let that cool and start preparing some of the vegetables to show you how I do a packing. So what I'm going to do is start making the packs. So the packs will have protein, which is pork. It's going to have the veggie base. And I was planning like what I'm going to make last night, and I have a few options which I will talk about, and then the herb base. So everything goes together. All right, so stay with me as I empty. Come with me as I empty my blanched water right here. So what I'm going to do is just pour out the water and then rinse it. I'm going to rinse it in a bit of cold water, and that's just, all right, you can come. I'm not really sure how people do live cooking when you're moving around the kitchen in a small space. So if anyone has an idea, that would be awesome. However, I'm going to treat you like a little mobile person and essentially follow me. So here's what I do, I pour the water out and just rinse with cold water, like this. And the idea is to get rid of as much debris as possible, because there's still stuff floating out of it. It's incredible how much comes out of. It's incredible how much comes out of your blanched bones. So I do suggest blanching if you're using it in a rice cooker. All right, there we go. All right. Okay, not bad. All right, and for those who are watching as well, one of the things I am going to use today are gloves. And I normally don't cook with gloves, but if I'm doing batch, I will. And it's just part of proper food prep etiquette. And so I have these gloves. And because I'm doing big batches, I'm working with, I'm sorry, it's like sticky and tight. Okay, all right, so I'm going to put my bones in a pot so that I can start prepping. And part of the reason that I want to rinse the bones in cold water as well is because I want to start packing right away. And that means I don't want to be putting hot ingredients. So anything like I'll fry, when I pan fry chicken as prep, I will also cool it first. Okay, so what I'm going to do then is, you can watch me, is just take out the bones like this, put them in a pot, and then I will use them to pack. So if you'll see, they are pretty well done actually. And so this goes directly into the soup pack. These are pretty big bones today, so I suspect my soup packs are going to be quite fat. So just make sure you have space in your freezer. I'm not sure I do, but that's okay. All right, so this pack is done. Okay. And for those just joining, I'm actually doing another blanch on the stovetop right now. I'm making 12 soup packs today, and so it is quite significant. There's going to be 3 different types of soups. Let me show you my batch of vegetables. Okay, right there. So I've got carrots, white radish, green radish, and corn. And essentially this selection is going to form 3 different types of soups. The first soup I'm going to explain is going to be your traditional hong tang lo ba, which is the green radish, carrots, probably corn. It's very, very basic. It's stuff that you find in Cantonese restaurants that they serve. And this is a very common one, and people love it. It's great for summer, paired with the right cooling ingredients, which I'll talk about. The second soup I'm going to make is probably going to be a white radish corn combination. Something like that. And then the third one is going to be a neat one, which is a little bit on the sweeter side. And it's going to be with snow pears, which are amazing for the summer. So if you're thinking about summer cooling soups, this is a great ingredient to add. It's this added sweetness and likely paired with corn. So I'm just thinking flavor profile, right, in terms of sweetness. This also goes really nicely. So you can think about like with a bit of lotus roots or arrowroots, which are perfect. All right. Let me get organized. First thing I'm going to do, why don't we work on the green and red radish. Hong tang lo ba. It's actually, hong is red in Cantonese, which is carrots. I don't know why they call it that. Tang is the green, but tang in Cantonese actually just means pale, okay? But they actually do mean the green radish. Hong tang lo ba, that's the soup I'm going to be making as my first batch. That's going to be the big batch for today. And okay, you're going to watch me. This is where I find it really weird for people to watch me prep and peel. But since you guys are here, thank you for joining. The first thing I'm going to do is work on the carrots. And I'll show you what I'm going to do here. And so because I'm doing soup packs, this is just thinking. If I'm making it in a normal soup, I will have them as bigger pieces. But because I am doing soup packs, and for those who are just joining, the packs are this size, So they're not enormously big, but they're not too small. What you want to be able to doing is, because I know my pork bones are relatively large, okay? So let's compare. This is the size of the pork bone that's going in here. I'm going to make my ingredients here a little bit smaller cut so that it can fit around like puzzle pieces. And that's just part of the thinking about when I'm making soup packs for myself. I primarily make soup packs for me, and then sometimes I will do custom orders for friends and give them away. And so again, this is why I do suggest, if I'm making soup at home though, like this in a pot, what I will do is keep it pretty big, right? All right, hold on one second. Where is my butcher's knife? Here. All right, my favorite. And so if I'm doing for soup packs, and I'll just show you what I mean. I'm going to be doing them about this size. Do you see? And the whole point is that so that I can slip them around the edges of the soup pack, right? So the bones will go in first as the biggest ingredients, and then I'm going to slip the herbs and the smaller veggies around the edges so that it just packs efficiently. That's all. And part of the thinking about soup pack design is that I want them to fit in my freezer. I want them to fit efficiently, right? And so that's another reason, stay with me, I cut this. That's another reason why I do make the ingredients, little itty bitty ingredients for soup packs. But for normal soups, nah, this would be like in half, essentially. So that's just something to think about. Okay. All right. So just want to check in, everyone. Oh, happy July 4th, by the way, for my American friends. Okay. Almost. Let me work through this carrot. I will work through this carrot. I will pack an example for you. And then I'll work on the second soup. There. Okay. So my carrots are in. And see? They're itty bitty. See? Tiny, right? Okay, the second ingredient for this soup is going to be the pale green radish. And so let me talk through the herbs for this one. Here's a tip if you're using both white, so here's the white radish and green radish. So if you're using either of the ingredients, here's a little tip for you on how to make this easier to eat. They have very thick skin, and I'm talking thick. So one peel is not enough, because if you eat it and if you like eating the radishes, what's going to happen is you'll find that the outer skin is very thick and it's not a consistent chew through. And so if you're using green radish or white radish, just peel it like 3 times on each side, and until you see like a little bit paler like that. That's what we're looking for in terms of I guess the experience of eating the soup. And so for those who don't know, I used to work in retail at Estee Lauder, and we talked about all the time is the customer experience. And making soup is no different, right? If you apply that thinking, the whole idea is that because this soup is going to be for a customer who's done a pre-order of 9 soup packs, and I'm making some extra to give away. So the idea is that I want their experience to be wonderful. And so part of that is also encouraging the eating of the ingredients. And so that's why I'm very conscious also of how the ingredients show up in terms of flavor. All right, that's still cooking. And for those that have joined, today I'm making soup packs. I'm not making soup, which is why it might seem strange how there's nothing really going to be cooked today other than blanching the pork bones. All right, so remember what I said? Peel deep. All right, you want it deep. Okay, great. All right, so I'm just gonna make one batch of the green ones first to show you how to make frozen soup packs for those who are interested in making this for yourself at home. I actually do make them and I give them as gifts. To be honest with you, I thought about, I tried doing the business of making soup packs, went down the route of getting the food certification, food prep, looked at food prep kitchens in Toronto. Not really my thing. So I actually enjoy doing this just for fun, for friends, but not as a full-fledged business. And okay, sorry, change of topic. Thin. Remember I talked about if you're doing soup packs, for those joining, everything's going to fit inside this. That's the whole idea. It's a puzzle. And so the idea is to have flexibility with the volume of how I'm making this. So this is why I cut them quite thin. Again, you could cut them in half again. Actually, that might be a bad idea. Like this. So they turn out like this when I'm packing it for soup packs. And because the packs are actually designed for 2 to 3 people at max, I don't put a lot of ingredients, and I don't make them very, very big. If I was making this at home, they would be giant pieces. For those who've seen me cook at home, it's because it's me saving energy. All right, so here we go. Let me finish peeling this, and I will pack this for you and show you what I mean about making a frozen soup pack. So just stay with me for a bit. I'm sorry if you can hear drilling upstairs. There's some construction in one of the units nearby. Okay, almost done. Stay with me. Today I'm making 12 soup packs, so I'm not going to stay with you the whole time. It might be an hour's worth of time, but I will just show you how I quickly make a soup pack. And if I'm making like, let's say make soup 6 packs on average, it takes me about 30 minutes. And the amazing thing is then you'll have all this soup pack done so that you can have soup anytime you want. That's the beauty of these packs, right? Okay, so I've got my green radish, my carrots. I'm going to put in corn for this one too. So something did fly out. All right, so my corn, again, how the size you want it, up to you. Try to make them smaller as well, like this, so that it'll fit. Here's a tip about cutting corn. So you'll see my first efficient way is just to snap it in half, right? Snap outwards like that, pretty easy. You'll have enough leverage because of physics and the 2 sides. But then when you want to go smaller, and it's not easy sometimes butchering corn, you want to just use the closer edge to you, tuck it in. Let me show you how I do this. This is actually quite neat that I can show this to people if going live. So I'll tuck it in right to the edge on the closer side to me. And when you're holding the knife, I'm holding it literally right up to the end like this, right? Because that's where you have, look, see, it's like complete leverage. So again, physics at play. And what I'll do is actually right to the corner like that and just knock it in, and it comes out like that. And you have so much control on where you're going to do it, like that, like this. And you don't need a lot of force. And so that's just a pro tip on cutting corn, like with the Chinese way with a butcher's knife, like that. And at the same time, because you're not using a lot of force, the corn juice is not like flying everywhere, which is why sometimes I also don't wear an apron. Okay, so that's a little tip for you on cutting corn. Okay, so let me show you how I'm going to pack now. Okay, so let me take off my gloves first. Because of okay, let's just do this for now. Okay, so my blanching, really quickly, just to show you the progress of the blanch. It's taking a while to boil, but for those who are joining, I'm blanching in cold water. And the whole point is the science behind it. Again, you can blanch in hot water too, but let me explain the science. The science behind blanching in cold water is that because when you put it in cold water, it allows an opportunity for any of the water-soluble components, sometimes the bones, the bits, the marrow, to dissolve out into the water. And then it slowly heats up and then seals. If you put it in boiling water, which is perfectly fine too. I mean, I've done both. It doesn't change the taste. It's actually, again, more efficient, but this is nice because I can watch it progress. But if you flash boil, what happens is it cooks everything right away, right? And that's what happens essentially. And so it's completely up to you, chef's choice, on what you want to do. So I'm going to just let that continue boiling. I think I can hear it. But meanwhile, I have already blanched another set here, rinsed it in cool water, and so it's ready to pack. And so I'm ready to pack. Okay, you can watch now. So this one is going to be the green radish Hongtang version. And so here's what's going to happen. The big pieces will go in first. So I use these soup packs like this. And I made little stickers just for fun. Okay. And so what you want to do is in one soup pack serves about, I said 2 to 3 to 4, depending on how big your pot is and how much water you're going to add. But in general, I would say 3 comfortably and 4 maybe 4 small bowls, okay, depending on the size of your bowl. And so what you want to do with this is, for those who are curious on how you make a soup pack, I don't have any right now in stock, but the idea is that this is designed so that you can actually just drop it into, for example, the most easiest way, a rice cooker. And I have done this before. There's videos where you can see it, and I'll just rip it. The whole thing's frozen. It's a solid block. And the idea is it fits in the rice cooker, fill to the top water line, close, and press cook. And that is the design of this soup pack, right? And so that's what I'm keeping in mind as, and when I say the soup design, I actually literally mean, like, think about from a user perspective, right? If they had to go take out the soup, where are they putting it in? Like, walk it through, right? And so that's why these soup packs can't be huge. They can't be big, big, big. My rice cooker is a 5-cup one, and so this is going to be designed for a 5-cup. That's the assumption. All right. So bones are going to go first, just because they are the largest. And again, however you want to put them is completely up to you. I will attempt to put about 3 if I can fit, maybe. Let's see. And that's why I actually love these pieces too, right? These like end pieces, because they fit like puzzle, like that. Okay, so this is what you want to be starting with, essentially, is just putting the bones in. The biggest pieces first in your soup packs. Let me show you what's going to happen here. And then the corn's going to go in next. So I'll put about 3 pieces, maybe 4, if this is designed for 4. So see what I mean about it being narrow and small, so that you can fit everything in like jigsaw puzzle, literally. Okay, this is boiling, turning off the heat. And again, I know it's, you can see it. I know it's a good blanch, especially for pork bones, because of all that foam and broth. So traditionally, sometimes, if you don't like blanching, what you can use is, let me show you this as well. These things, these very fine strainers. And what this will do is also get rid of the oil and the foam and the bone bits and everything else that floats up. It is extra work, but I do this if I'm not pre-blanching ahead of time. The reason I'm blanching all my bones today is because this is actually going into a soup pack. And the whole idea is that there's no prep needed. You take it out of the freezer, open it, put it in your rice cooker, and cook, right? All the prep, the wash, the cut, the peel has been pre-done. Okay, so I've been distracted. All right, in goes the green radish like this. So again, I just fit it around like puzzle pieces, completely up to you. And again, yeah, I should be using gloves here. I'll put them back on, actually, like that, right? And you just sweep it around here. So in this soup, the flavor is really going to come from the tangoppa. It's actually part of the flavors. And then carrots are going in too, like this. I just, whoops. Let me get my gloves again. One second, I'm sorry. I'm just getting another pair of gloves because I am making a lot of batch today. And I haven't even poured out my other ingredients yet. Okay, so just for those joining, I'm making frozen soup packs. Okay, I'm not making soup today, okay, by the way, as you might have expected, but not today. I'm making soup packs. So the carrots are gonna go in like that as well. That. And so I just tuck them around, right? You see? Okay. Something like that. All right, and the herb base. Remember I talked about the herb bases? So what I'm thinking is, the first one is flavor. So in most of my soup packs, I will have some type of mushroom. Any type of dried mushroom is yummy. They're all umami flavored. Actually, shiitake mushrooms have the least flavor, surprise, surprise. But these mushrooms, like these long mushrooms, oyster mushrooms, are actually really yummy in soups. And I would advise, try it. Really take a shot at saying, oh, I'm going to be creative and try something different. And so for this one, I'm going to put in just a few of these long mushrooms inside, like this, right? Again, tuck them around like that. And again, it's okay if some of the ingredients are a little bit wet. What's going to happen is, because theoretically you shouldn't be mixing the wet and the dry ingredients together, but what's going to happen is as soon as I seal, I pack seal this, so it's going to be a vacuum and seal. It's going to go in the freezer. And so this is why it's okay to a certain extent to have some of the wet and dry ingredients together. For example, some of the other soups that I have made, sorry, I'm just trying to pull these mushrooms apart. They're like all stuck together. So some of the other soup packs I have made, I do for like, I'll do a fried chicken thigh, let that cool, and so there's a bit of oil there, which is okay too, because again, it's going to be frozen like right away anyway. All right, so maybe I'll give 2 shiitake mushrooms here. Okay, shiitake mushrooms, many types of shiitake mushrooms. The bigger, the more round, the more expensive they are. That's how it's just thought of because of the quality and the size. However, because I'm doing soup packs, I like small stuff, right? And so what I'm doing, these are like mini shiitake mushrooms. They're so cute. Look, let me show you. And they are tiny. They're perfect for these type of soups. Soup packs, actually. Oh my God, look, they're tiny. Some are even smaller like that. And so these are perfect for soup packs. If I'm using it for just normal soup, big soup, then I will use bigger ones. And this is aesthetics, but again, I used to work in retail, and so I always think about like the customer. I will put my mushrooms, and I'm very particular. Like it was like this before, how you could see like the stem. I will put my mushrooms like this, right? And it's just because it just looks more aesthetically pleasing. And I don't often do this, especially if I'm making my own soup packs, it doesn't matter. But if I'm doing it for friends, then I will be a little more careful about how it looks. All right, so that's going to be the soup pack. And then I talked about what else is coming in this one. Beans. Okay, so I've got the soup design is going to be cooling, removes toxicity, diuretic, so it dispels water. It is humid right now. And so I'm going to just add in a few beans, your choice, or barley. And so I've got some of my beans out. So today I'm going to go with this one. This one I'm feeling like black-eyed beans. But again, black-eyed beans, red beans, green beans, mung beans, they're all very similar in terms of what they do serve in terms for the herbal benefits. And so again, I'm just going to take a spoonful like that, drop it in, make sure it goes around. Maybe we'll do one more. Okay, and then yeah, the question is like, all right, how do you figure out what your cost of goods is if you just play it by ear? This is not a business, right? I don't make these soup packs as a business. I actually really just do it for fun. Oh, the honey date. Okay, so there's a question about dates, and in traditional Chinese Cantonese soups, red dates are very common. However, red dates are warm. They're heaty. They're usually designed for the winter, or they're used for soups that are more warming. Because I'm making a cooling soup, I still want dates, especially that sweet flavor of the soup. So honey dates, which is the alternative to red dates in the summer, is your best friend. And so I have like this jar of dried honey dates. Honey dates are just like this. They're big, dried, and replaces the red dates. You could also use figs. Figs is actually another great suggestion if you want to replace the red date. So I'm going to use one honey date for this. Okay, one more thing, and I'm sorry. See, this is me like thinking of soup design on the fly. The other option you could think about, Hong Tang Lao Ba, the green red radish soup, very commonly in Cantonese soup does come with apricot kernels. So this is Lam Ba Heng. So I've got them both mixed together. And Lam Ba Heng is usually for coughs, but I'm going to put a few in, and they're slightly more for warming soup, so I'm going to just add some in because it just blends really nicely with Hong Tang. Okay, so that's it. This is the soup pack for 1 pack of Hong Tang Ba. Okay, so let me show you what I mean by the seal. So you come with me. I'm going to take you with me. 1 second. Okay, hold on. I have to make sure the mic doesn't like fly. All right, so come with me and I'll show you how this works. 1 second. I know you can't see. There. Okay, so this is, for those who have not seen this before, this is my trusty vacuum and seal little device. And so the idea of this is it seals. Well, first it vacuums and then it seals. And so what I do is, it's really easy. I put it in between these little knobs, make sure it's clicks, and then there's a vac seal here. See? Isn't that amazing? So much fun. And then now it's sealing, so you can hear it seal. The red light's on as well. And then it's finished. So the key thing here is to release the vacuum, because it's vacuumed it, release it so that it can actually pop up. And then you open it and, oh, ta-da! Look, isn't that amazing? Like, seriously, another great invention that I must have in my house. Okay, so that's the seal, and that's what I'm doing today in volume, okay? And that's it. This is how I make a frozen soup pack. This is going to be for a friend. I'm making 12 of these today. But then what happens is it goes right in the freezer, and then when you want to make it, you take it out of the freezer, completely frozen, rip it here, wherever you want, drop it in a rice cooker, add water to fill, add salt as you need, and cook. And that's a soup pack. So pretty basic today. I'm not making soups. I'm going to make one more if you want to stay and just observe this next variant, which is going to be the white radish with lily, more beans. It's going to be a heavier bean content, and corn. Okay, so this is one variant, which is the Hong Tang Lo Bot frozen soup pack. If you'd like to stay, watch one more. I'm making, actually, or I might make the snow pear lily one. Anyway, I'm making 12 packs today, essentially, 12 frozen soup packs today for a friend. And so what I'm doing right now just on the live is just to demo how I make initially. So let's go with the white radish today. This one is white radish, corn, more mushrooms, dates, wolfberries. I forgot my wolfberries. So this one's going to have wolfberries, whereas the other one didn't. Stay with me. Hold on one second. I'm going to go to the fridge and get my wolfberries. Okay. Yes, I keep them in the fridge. Oops. I do keep them in the fridge sometimes. And there's another post about people asking, like, what do I keep in the fridge? What do I keep dried? The reason I keep berries in the fridge, and sometimes goji berries as well, goji berries, wolfberries, is because they sometimes do have a bit of moisture. And this helps just prevent, well, first, I have room in the fridge, and two, it prevents some of the mold, although not as common in Canada, but definitely in Hong Kong. So in Hong Kong, I keep most of my berries, wolfberries, goji berries, black and red, dried longnans, in the fridge. Sorry about that. Okay, so I'm going to quickly make a second frozen pack. This is going to be with white radish, which is also cooling. So this is a super cooling ingredient, perfect as I talked about soup design, right? So with cooling soups, it's going to be the pork. Stay with me as I peel this as well. You can watch here. So again, same thing with the radishes. Actually, no, I might do the big one. I'm going to do this anyway. All right, here we go. So same thing with the radish. What you want to do is, all this has been washed. What you want to do is peel deep. So radishes have a very thick skin, all right? So that's one peel, two peel. And so as you peel, you'll see that there's a beige one that shows up. That's the color we're looking for when you're peeling radishes, either green or white together. It's because the skin is very thick. Not only the skin, and then it's chewy, like it doesn't get soft. So it really distorts the eating experience of the soup for those who actually really like eating radish. And so that's what you're looking for. You want it to be like almost fleshy color, like that. And that's a good depth in terms of peel. So stay with me as I peel this. That's what you're looking for in terms of depth of peel. Okay. Let's keep going. Oopsies. Oh no, all the roots are caught. And my daughter's up. She's got summer school now. And so one daughter's, for those who don't know, I have two daughters. They're little people, little adults actually. One's 19, can you just believe that? And the other one's 17, going to be turning 18 in a few months. So like literally, I am almost free of children, although there will always be children in my eyes. Okay, there, perfect. All right, and so for those who are using this radish as well, same thing, same concept as the green radish, I'm going to peel them quite thin, like that, and probably in half. I will show you. So like that, thin and halved. And again, same thing, it's because I'm making puzzle pieces for these soup packs, and this is just way easier to pack. Okay, yeah, I was talking about why I'm not pursuing this as like a full-time business, for those who are curious about me making soup packs, and I do enjoy it. To be honest, from like a business perspective, I really like the pull model of business, meaning I just create content and I push. Sorry, it's a push model. So I'm just pushing things out rather than pull models. Like there's a request, I have to fulfill it. So for me, it's really just about content creation, which is why I have partnered with other people who sell ingredients. Like I'm not going to be selling ingredients. I'm not really selling soup packs. I do custom orders for friends only because of the ask. And again, it's like the cost of goods I'm not even calculating at this point. It's just basically like a P&L for this project. Not really interested. All right. Let me pack this next soup pack for you just to show you what's going on here. All right, so this is the white radish, lily, white radish, corn, cooling summer soup. Okay, so this is going to be my second pack. This is the size that I'm going to do. What's going to happen is same thing. Pork bones here. Look at this one. Do you see the size of this? Okay, I might need to, all right. So keeping in mind, so I put about, if I'm using big pork bones like this, I'll use maybe about, like that's huge, wow. 2 to 3 pieces, because this portion serves 2, 3, 4 people, like even depending how much mortar you put in. All right, and so what I'm doing is, again, puzzle pieces, right? Like laying it as flat as possible down there, and then I'm gonna put in my corn next. So corn, small pieces. I might need to cut more corn, and I will show you how I do that. And again, right, like just trying to stuff it all the way in like that. Oh. Okay, we're good. This is good. Keep going. One more. Here we go. And then I'm going to put in the white radish here. And again, just like puzzle pieces, slip them around like this. Like this. Corn, white radish. I don't even know what else is going into this. Oh, yam. Okay, so this is looking good for a start. There. All right, the other interesting ingredient that I did not talk about is, and again, it's because I just laid out all the ingredients and I kind of just soup design as I go along. But I think this blends, I wrote it down, is the Chinese yam, like this. This is the this is the dried version. Oh, I actually did buy the fresh version in my fridge, which I will, let me show you. So TNT, really smart of them lately, has been packaging the fresh white yams like this. Usually I buy them like that, fresh. It's a long brown root, and you have to use gloves to wear them because they are actually very slimy and it makes your hands itchy. But now that they've got them prepackaged, what you can do is also put them in here, which I will do for this particular soup. Only the white radish though. The other ones I'm not going to be using it. And so essentially they're fresh like that. I bought them yesterday. All right. Sorry, it's like really messy here. You could just stay with me as I chomp. Okay, see, like slimy, okay? And they will make your hands itchy. So I'm just gonna put a few in here as well, like that. Like that, okay, perfect. And then what this is going to also have is honey date. So here's the one honey date I'm gonna put in. And mushrooms as well, so probably the shiitake, maybe some of the other ones. And then you can watch me seal this, and then we're good. So again, I'll make the mushrooms like face outside, like this. You can't see. And then barley. So this one's going to be a bit different. No, I don't have barley here. I have wolfberries. there's a phone call coming in. Barley with this one, no. This one's going to be beans. Beans as well. So here's my spoon. So usually just get 1 scoop like this. Just drop them in. And again, make sure they go right to the bottom, which is great. And then wolfberry. So that'll be my last one. All right. So this is probably this soup pack. So this one is like a white radish. And I'm going to put everything on the blog as soon as I'm done, and all the various soup design here. So last one there. Okay, so you see that? Okay, you come with me. We seal, and then I'll be done, and I'm gonna finish prepping my soup for the rest of them. I have one more, but I'm tired. I'm not sure how people can go live for so long. It's been an hour. Yeah, it's taking me a while because I've been talking a lot. All right, so this one, again, put it between the prongs. So for those just joining, sorry, let me make this better. For those joining, I'm making frozen soup packs. I have a custom order for 9 packs, and I'm gonna make about 3 extras. Okay, there, you wanna hear it snap? Oh, magic! I love watching this part, it's so much fun. See? And it's done. And now it's sealing. And that's why I do leave a bit of gap. Okay. Release the vacuum here. Undo this. And we are done. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Like, I mean, this is amazing. Technology. Okay. So essentially that's it for today for my live. So I've actually made 2 soup packs. I was going to make 3. The snow pear one I may make just for the friend. But for those who've just joined, we're wrapping up. At the end, I made 2 soup packs. You could watch this back. I will post it both on YouTube and on Instagram. So I made 2 frozen soup packs. These are going to go directly into the freezer. I've got a custom order for 9. I'm going to make 3 extras. The request was to make a cooling soup for this summer and a variety. And so these are 2 options to think about. This is what we call the Hong Chang Lao Ba, which has got the green radish, the red carrots with corn, some beans, mushrooms, bit of apricot kernels, and the honey date. And this is really cooling, right? And then this one is the second option that you could think about, is with the white radish, the corn, and the Chinese yam, mushrooms as well, wolfberries, and beans as well. Diuretic, they're all cooling soups. The base is going to be a pork, which is the protein of choice for cooling soups. All right, and that's it. So I'm going to enjoy this time to myself. It's actually very therapeutic and meditative for me to be like preparing on my own. But you can watch the replay. I will post all the recipes on the site. And that's it. I'm going to stay behind for like 2 minutes to see if there are any questions about making frozen soup packs like this. I also have posts on how you can use them when you're preparing soup for dinner. Just pulling it directly out of the freezer. You don't have to thaw. You drop it into your rice cooker and it's good. All right. Any questions? I will stay behind for a little bit, especially as I prep the rest of my ingredients. But you guys have been amazing. Thank you for joining. It's always fun to make soup with you. I might make a soup for dinner later with whatever leftovers I've got. All right, thanks everybody. Have a good day. Today the weather's really amazing. It's going to be super hot this weekend in Toronto. So my suggestion is really to go with the cooling soups right now, unless you have other health conditions. But go with the cooling soups, especially, and a bit humid because it has been raining. So think of beans, barley as your diuretic agent, the honey dates for the sweetness, and then mushrooms for some of the umami flavors. All right. Bye, everybody. Thank you. And I will post this all later. Bye. Always have issue with turning this thing off. No. No. Where's the off button?